I really love movies, and I love movies like this. Perfect Blue has been on my radar for many years at this point. You can see the influence that it's had on all sorts of films when it comes to certain aesthetic choices and just overall, vibe or mood of the story. This is a story of a pop star who decides to become an actress, and as she gets into that, right when she gets into that, she basically, at some point finds out that someone's made a website about her, and she starts to kind of feel as though somebody is stalking her, as well as like wondering what's real and what isn't. It's a very interesting take on how most actors and musicians probably feel, or anybody in the arts, like when you put a piece of yourself out there and you open up on a personal level like that with people artistically, or just in general, when you create an image of yourself that is separate from your own, as far as you as a human being and then you as the performer, you start to kind of get in your head about that. And like it really hit home for me, as far as this is a lot. I mean, this is how I feel sometimes, making this video, or like how like, you can literally see my place right now. I don't feel that much with, I don't feel that way too much with this YouTube channel, but I've felt that way a lot in the past with whenever I have used social media, or whenever I've more consistently used it. Like I said, I've been off there for a while, at least not really, like, I just don't post anything, or I don't check it on a regular basis by any means. And but when you use something like that, or when you just put yourself out there and you create this kind of just separate version of yourself. I don't want to say image, because image is just such a cliched term, but you always start to feel like a separate version of yourself. Like when I'm on stage performing, or when I'm acting or anything, that's always separate from who I am as a human being. Right now, I think the reason I love this channel so much is it's like the one play. It's like I feel the freedom of being able to just kind of just be normal, I guess, which is nice. So all that stuff in this movie was very relatable for me, and it was interesting. Hopefully not to the point of like when she starts to again question what reality is and what isn't real. That's where the movie gets so interesting too, though. You start to really wonder yourself what the hell is going on. There's because she becomes an actress. There are a lot of moments where she's acting in the movie and you can't tell if it's like actually what's happening, or there's always a moment where the director yells cut, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, yeah, she is still acting in the TV show or whatever she's doing, and you really start to feel that with her. The writer and the director were very good about, whoever made this movie, they were very good about making you feel like you're there with her, and you're literally confused and have no idea what the fuck is actually real or not. This is just coincidence, by the way. I feel like this with Barton Fink, and I feel this with a lot of movies. It's funny how many movies, I forget. Maybe it's because a lot of these movies are older, and maybe that was more acceptable, or it was just more, people received that differently than like nowadays. Everything's very literal or matter of fact, at least from what I see in a lot of modern films or TV shows. It's very definitive. But what's cool about these types of stories where you're not sure of what's going on or not, it's such a great thing to feel like they're fucking with you. I love when a movie, and it's good and it actually has a payoff. Memento does that really well, and I don't want to stray too much into other movies, but just as far as to use an example, other examples as far as like movies that, or stories in general, that really leave you perplexed. I guess Severance did that very well recently too. But anyway, not to stray off the topic of this movie. This movie reminds me of how lovely, like every time I watch these older hand-drawn films or shorts or anything like that, anything I see hand-drawn and easily accessible digital animation became such a normal thing, and that's why there's so many like animated YouTube channels and so many, it's not that it's easy, it's just all the technology that makes it, just like with music, it's significant, it's way more accessible to everyone on a on a majority from a majority standpoint, that I don't know. The more I look at hand-drawn stuff, the more I kind of resent how clean and unnecessarily perfect everything digitally drawn looks. Even like not just even using AI, even before that, just everything becoming digital. Where I think it works for certain shows like South Park or whatever, where that won't make too much of a difference as far as like they could still do that like cutout look that they have. You see with this movie how much just how many layers the drawings feel like they have. What I loved about this movie is just the way that it looked is how I don't know, vivid it feels. I don't know how to explain it, but hand-drawn stuff feels significantly more vivid and just pops out more. It's like looking at a flat drawing versus a pop-up book. Maybe, I don't know. That's probably a terrible example, but I don't know if that makes sense. If you know what I mean, when it comes to like just hand-drawn stuff, always feel like I feel more from it, and it, you know, maybe that's just because I know that it is hand-drawn. And this movie is like 25 years old or whatever, or more than that, 28 years old or whatever it is. At least I think it came out in 97. I got to check it in a second here. But anyway, yeah, I think it's wild that the hand-drawn stuff, it's just so perfect, and I'm surprised that we moved. Yeah, 97, I was right. I'm surprised we moved away from that. I'm so shocked that we stopped. You know, and I understand it's like that stuff takes so much more effort, and you know, it takes a lot of time. But when you see it done well, or you see just the way it just creates a vibe. I don't know, this movie that you know, the fact that it's animated and regardless of it being animated or not, it was one of those it's one of those stories that works so perfectly with it being animated, and just all of the overall kind of mood that they're trying to create with it. Yeah, hand-drawn stuff is really incredible. You really feel for Mima, the main character, because you start to she goes through so much shit just because she's like, I relate, or I think most people would be able to relate, especially women, you know, would be able to relate to the pressures of, I can't imagine what it's like for women in these industries compared to men. You know, it's they have all sorts of different things that they're pressured into, or all sorts of it's just a really slippery slope to want to be successful in any sort of business or industry. It's a very slippery slope to want to be successful, that you're willing to do things, you're willing to do things that you are not comfortable with, or you're you know, you end up putting yourself in situations that you probably shouldn't. And that's where it was just really hard it's hard to watch. This movie is so dark. This movie was very uncomfortable to watch. I was so nervous watching this throughout the whole thing. It's only like 80 minutes long or so, and I was so nervous and feeling a lot of anxiety for what, because I liked Mima's character so much. I was so nervous about what was going to happen to her. And towards the very end, I won't give anything away, as I will never do any spoiler. I think I've done spoilers with other reviews in the past, but from now on, I never want to do that, because I want to give people a reason to, hopefully if you see this and you haven't seen it, it gives you a reason to watch it. But anyway, what happens at the end when there's a final like climactic moment, feels like so much leads up to that, or you really feel the impact of that moment. You feel the impact of it significantly more because of how much suspense and, I mean, legitimate like panic is instilled into you, the viewer. Like there's a lot of paranoia in that is instilled in the you know, in the audience because they want you to feel what she's feeling, and they do it very well. That's all I'll say about that, is that they just did a very good job with the music, the way that it's edited, and the way that it just flows. Every bit of it feels like it's just a nail biter. It's a genuine, like, I rarely feel that nervous when watching movies, but because she's like this young, vulnerable, like, pop star, just young girl trying to do her job. That's what's fucking crazy, but that's what's so fucked up about it. She's literally just trying to do her job, or just do what she thinks is best for her, just for her career and for herself and for those around her. You can tell that she does a lot of things because she doesn't want to, like, disappoint other people. And I feel that a lot. Like, you do a lot of things, or you end up putting a lot of that pressure on yourself because you feel like you can't disappoint others. And as far as like the way what she is doing throughout this movie is how, like, a lot of people would probably feel just with social media and financial limitations, or any certain things like specific things like that are this, like, necessary evil for any sort of success nowadays. You if you're resentful of that, like I am, you would very much relate to Mima's character in this movie. I really enjoyed it thoroughly. Definitely not a movie to watch with family or on a first date, or just with watch this movie by yourself. There are certain movies that I think honestly should probably not be watched with anyone other than yourself, because not even just because of the dark themes, or because of how, like, scary and uncomfortable it can feel a lot of times. It's like, I just think certain movies like this, where you're supposed to feel kind of like isolated. You're like, Mima feels extremely, like, isolated within her own situation, or you could see, like, she just starts to, like, disassociate, or it starts to really eat away at her, that she's, like, has no idea what is going on at some point. And if you're watching it by yourself, it'll just feed into that. The movie will really have that much more of a significant effect on. It'll just affect you that much more if you're watching it by yourself and feeling that sense of isolation as well. So that's about it. Perfect Blue. I'm glad that I finally watched it. And there's some others that I've been meaning to check out from that, like a lot of 80s, 90s anime movies or TV shows. And I'm glad I checked this one off the list, because this was, you could see how much it's 100% influenced, like, Darren Aronofsky for, like, Requiem for a Dream and Black Swan. You can see how it's influenced, like, Black Mirror. So I personally am always a fan of going back to those things of, like, what's the OG, like, version of this, or what's, like, the thing that sparked a whole, anything that is an influence on artists that I love, or directors that I'm a fan. If I'm a fan of someone's work and I hear, oh, they were influenced by this or that, then I'm always going to want to check it out, just because I'm interested in the, like, how these things kind of trickle down. You got someone who is, like, the pioneer of something. Like, for songwriters, it's like the Beatles, for example. There's always, like, they're always the pioneers or something, and then there's everything else that follows after that. So I'm always fascinated by, like, what was the one of the earlier works. What are some of the earlier works that influence that just have that impact on everything else, and that, like, ripple effect on everything. And you can 100% see that with Perfect Blue. And if you've seen it, honestly, the last, like, 5 seconds of the movie caught me off guard, but were so cool. It's one of those movies that right before the credits roll, you're oddly enough, like, there's just a very, like, interesting moment at the very, very end that I didn't expect, and I thought it was very charming, or very, like, oddly enough, very, very, like, a just unexpectedly, it was an unexpected type of ending. That's all I'll say. I don't want to say more than that, because now I'm nervous about giving too much of it away. So yeah, check this movie out if you haven't seen it. Perfect Blue. It is on HBO Max right now. Then that's why I don't have. See how fucking lame streaming is. I don't have any, like, physical thing to show you. Like, I had that with Barton Fink and all these, the couple, like, more recent reviews that I did, and now I don't have anything to. Here, yeah, you should check out Perfect Blue on streaming. Here it is. Check out Perfect Blue, and Yeah. Yeah, it's on the cloud somewhere. But yeah, HBO Max, you can check it out on there. Hope you enjoy it if you do. Thank you so much to anyone watching these videos. As always, I think you're all so wonderful, and I think you're doing such a good job in your life. And how do I know that? Because you ended up here and you're watching this. No, I'm just kidding. I seriously appreciate all of you and anyone checking out my stuff because I thoroughly enjoy doing this. So if anyone is enjoying the ride with me, then that only give me the motivation to keep doing it and keep wanting to put these out there. So if you are checking these out, and you're consistently listening to this goober right here, if you're listening to me talk, and even if it's just being thrown on in the background and you need to kill some time by listening, I really appreciate it. The consistency is a huge, huge thing for me. If you want to subscribe or check out anything else that I do, you can check out the links in the description and all that good stuff. But I seriously, seriously appreciate the consistency of anything that I do, because that goes a long way for me and makes me feel like even if there are only like 10 people checking it out, that I want to try to put on I want to try to do something interesting for those 10 people that are watching, and even if it's kind of just thrown together a very, laid back, that's kind of the vibe I'm going for. So I hope you appreciate the unscripted nature of this, and just, the whole point of this is supposed to be as uncut as it possibly can. And I have a lot of fun doing this. I like talking. I'm a fucking chatty person. I don't really know when to shut up. I guess I should know when to shut up now. 17 minutes, I think, is enough. All right. Go watch Perfect Blue. Thank you.